A scandal in Bohemia, the woman of singular wit. The chambers at 221B Baker Street were habitually a sanctuary of rigorous logic and dispassionate observation. Hitherto, Sherlock Holmes had regarded the complexities of human emotion as mere variables to be meticulously factored into a deductive equation. All matters of the heart, to his austere mind, were but trifling distractions. However, there existed a notable exception, an enduring memory that occasionally stirred a faint, almost imperceptible tremor in his otherwise unshakable composure, the memory of Irene Adler. To Holmes, she was perpetually the woman. Our narrative commences one turbulent evening in the late months of 1888. A man of formidable stature entered our apartment, shrouded in an air of profound anxiety, his garments suggesting a station far above the common observer. He was ostensibly a nobleman, masked and cloaked with an almost theatrical flair of secrecy. Notwithstanding his elaborate disguise, Holmes, with a single, cursory glance, immediately perceived the man's true identity. The posture, the commanding tone, and the inherent gravity could belong to none other than a royal personage. This was the King of Bohemia, a fact he subsequently, though reluctantly, conceded. The conundrum of the king. The king, whose name was Wilhelm Gottsreich Sigismund von Ormstein, was in a state of extreme perturbation. He revealed to us a dilemma that threatened to precipitate an international catastrophe. He was soon to be married to Clotilde Lothman von Saxe-Meiningen, a princess whose family's reputation was beyond reproach. Consequently, any prior indiscretion on the king's part could not only derail the marriage but might also instigate a major political scandal, undermining the stability of his kingdom. The source of this imminent calamity was a past, illicit relationship with a woman of extraordinary beauty and intellect, Irene Adler. She was, as the king described her, an American opera singer who possessed the soul of an artist and the resolve of a titan. During their affair, a photograph had been taken, a dual portrait highly compromising to the king's reputation, which now rested in her possession. The king had exhausted all conventional avenues to retrieve the image. He had offered immense sums of money, employed agents to intercept her, and even attempted covert break-ins. Furthermore, he admitted with a palpable sense of chagrin, Irene Adler possessed an almost supernatural intuition, predicting and evading every one of his formidable attempts. She had not yet used the photograph, but she had definitively stated her intention to prevent the royal marriage, either by sending the picture to the fiancé's family or by publishing it widely. The date of the announcement of the royal wedding was perilously close. The king required the immediate, absolute retrieval of the photograph. The pursuit of the enigma. Holmes listened to this extraordinary confession with a peculiar intensity that betrayed his professional interest in the singular nature of the case. Therefore, the challenge was not merely locating an object, it was outwitting a mind that Holmes clearly held in high esteem. His immediate course of action was to understand the habits, movements, and character of this formidable adversary. The following morning, Holmes adopted one of his most convincing disguises, a lazy, unemployed groom and cabman. His clothes were soiled, his face hardened by the sun, and his speech coarse. Under this inconspicuous guise, he spent the day meticulously observing Irene Adler's residence at Briony Lodge. He learned that she lived a quiet life, receiving few visitors save for an exceptionally handsome and astute barrister named Mr. Godfrey Norton. He further observed a constant, nervous vigilance about her house, a testament to her awareness of the king's machinations. Indeed, while Holmes was stationed outside the house, a peculiar incident unfolded that granted him intimate insight into her immediate affairs. Irene Adler, accompanied by Mr. Norton, rushed into a nearby church, followed closely by Holmes himself. A moment of unforeseen confusion arose. For a matter of crucial paperwork, the priest required a witness, and the hastily summoned cabman, Holmes, was pressed into service. Consequently, Sherlock Holmes found himself an unwilling, yet highly amused, witness to the private marriage of Irene Adler and Mr. Godfrey Norton. The grand stratagem. This development, whilst simplifying the king's long-term worries about her using the photograph, did nothing to immediately secure the retrieval of the object. Holmes, recognizing the necessity of immediate action, formulated a bold and audacious plan. His aim was to exploit a deep, instinctual human reaction to reveal the photograph's hiding spot. He reasoned that the photograph, being a document of extreme personal value, would be hidden in the most private place Irene Adler could access quickly in the event of a danger. Furthermore, she would not entrust it to a bank, but keep it in a location where she could instantly retrieve it. That very evening, Holmes, disguised this time as an elderly, harmless clergyman, proceeded to Briony Lodge, accompanied by Dr. Watson and a small group of operatives recruited by the king. Holmes orchestrated a manufactured street brawl directly outside the house, timing his arrival to coincide with the ensuing chaos. As per the meticulous plan, one of the operatives threw a smoke rocket into the parlor window. Simultaneously, Holmes let out a calculated cry of "fire," with a terrifying solemnity. Notwithstanding the obvious ruse, the reaction was immediate and profound. Irene Adler, upon hearing the terrifying word "fire," immediately darted towards the hidden receptacle she had prepared. The resolution and the woman's triumph. From his vantage point, Holmes had successfully observed the exact spot, a small recess behind a sliding panel just above the bell pull. However, the plan had encountered an unexpected, and ultimately victorious, complication. As Irene Adler reached the hiding place, Dr. Watson, upon instruction, rushed in under the pretense of assisting the distressed clergyman. Irene, distracted by the sudden incursion, merely glanced at the spot, made a swift gesture, and then calmly bade the men depart. When Holmes and Watson returned to Baker Street, certain that the location of the photograph was confirmed, Holmes, shedding his disguise, was immensely pleased. The key was simply to return the following day with a warrant and retrieve the photograph from the now known location. Therefore, he dispatched a final communication to the king, assuring him of certain success by the morning. The next morning, however, presented a final, bewildering twist to the whole affair. Upon arriving at Briony Lodge, Holmes discovered that Irene Adler had completely vacated the premises. The servants were bewildered, and the house was deserted. Subsequently, Holmes proceeded to the hidden recess behind the bell pull. He discovered, not the compromising photograph, but a cleverly mounted picture of Irene Adler herself, dressed in an evening gown. Pinned to the photograph was a letter addressed, incredibly, to Sherlock Holmes. The final bow. The letter was a masterpiece of wit and audacity. Irene Adler revealed that she had seen through his various disguises, noting the clergyman of the previous evening was too young to possess such a voice, and she had recognized the meticulous methods that could only belong to the famed detective. She admitted that the initial marriage to Mr. Norton was genuine, and that her heart was now devoted to her husband. Moreover, she revealed that she and her new husband had left England, but the photograph, the original portrait, was safe. She explained that she kept the image only to protect herself from further harassment by the king, and not as a tool for blackmail. She further requested that the king need never fear its publication, as she was now happily married and the past held no interest for her. The photograph she had left behind was merely a final, triumphant gesture of her superior intellect. Notwithstanding the failure to retrieve the photograph, the king, upon receiving the letter and the substitute photograph, was profoundly relieved. The scandal was averted, and the princess was saved from embarrassment. Holmes, however, was effected in a way no other case had achieved. He had been thoroughly and undeniably outwitted by a woman. Ultimately, Irene Adler became, in his eyes, not an object of mere study, but an object of sincere, if grudging, admiration. This singular case remains enshrined in my memory as the instance when the renowned Sherlock Holmes was definitively beaten by the incomparable wit and foresight of the woman.
The enduring enigma of the woman taught Sherlock Holmes a crucial lesson. Intellect can be found in the most unexpected quarters. Her foresight proved even more formidable than his famed methods of deduction. We have two challenges for our advanced English learners today. 1. Critical analysis. Do you agree with Holmes's unreserved admiration for Irene Adler? Or do you believe her actions were ultimately unethical? Share your carefully reasoned perspective in the comments below. 2. Vocabulary application. Challenge yourself to use one of the advanced words from this story such as hitherto, perturbation, or audacity in your comment. If you wish to further hone your literary analysis skills and elevate your vocabulary, ensure you subscribe to English Story Source right now. Our next mystery and masterpiece awaits.